The search for Nick Saban's successor continues deep into Thursday night, and it may carry over into Friday morning. It seemed like Dan Lanning was a perfect fit to replace the seven-time national champion and greatest to ever do it. But he recently posted on Twitter saying, "You know what? I'm good with the Ducks. I'm going to stick it out here for another season." Then Mike Norvell became a favorite candidate. Well, he posted to Twitter making it clear that he's content in Tallahassee. And so now the question turns to, where does Greg Byrne go? And many people have narrowed it down to three coaches, each better than the last. But one certainly isn't gaining enough traction with the Alabama faithful like the other two. So let's talk about what would happen if Kalen DeBoer comes down to Alabama. If you are new here, though, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. So if this is the type of content you enjoy, plus anything going on with coaching searches, the biggest since 2007, anything going on with the transfer portal, trust me, there will be some names joining very soon, and anything going on in sports, make sure that you smash the subscribe button down below. Leave a comment on your thoughts on, would you like if Kalen DeBoer became the head coach of the Crimson Tide? Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, your best of bros, your friends out in a public parking lot, Alabama aficionados and college football faithful everywhere about the channel. If you're on the race to 5,000 subscribers, then 10,000, then 25,000, and 100,000 is the goal. I think we're going to get there. So jump on in while the water's fine. Continue to follow me on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. That way, conversations surrounding our favorite sport never have to stop flowing. Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. On This is a slam dunk hire. In retrospect, this is a slam dunk hire. In every sense of the word, this is about A plus clear cut, positive as possible type of hire you could make if you are Greg Byrne. But there are many people out there that are not inclined with the idea of bringing over a guy who resides in Seattle to Podunk, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I apologize for calling it Podunk. It is a beautiful town. It is one of the most mesmerizing places I have ever had the pleasure of spending my life in. It is one of those places where I know it is always going to be hummed on a Saturday morning, super late Saturday night. A place like Bryant Denny Stadium is a piece of art. But a lot of people aren't sold on the idea about getting a guy like Kalen DeBoer to come to Tuscaloosa. They want Lane Kiffin. I understand why you would want Lane Kiffin. He's found success when he was underneath Nick Saban. They have a great relationship. More importantly, he's worked better with less results. Imagine what he could do with five-star talent every single year coming into the Crimson and White. Imagine what he could do with the type of talent that walks onto the field at Bryant Denny Stadium. He's played it. He now knows what it's about. He can easily coach it too. He's done it with Town, 11 wins this past year. Steve Sarkisian, get brought up a lot simply because of what he did too. Top 3 scoring offense back-to-back years, led Thompson Smith to becoming the first Heisman Trophy winner as a wide receiver in 1991. Matt Jones became a first-round pick. Now Harris became one of the most successful running backs in program history, and the offense was always clicking. It would make a lot of sense, especially after what he's done in 3 years down on the 40 acres. But now they're joining the SEC, and so it kind of feels like a lateral move in a sense. It's not, but it feels like it. So Kalen DeBoer kind of comes up as the last man standing, the final option for this team to be successful. One thing that you need to know about Alabama, most of you who are the Alabama faithful understand that this hire would not ruffle every feather, and it would also not get a humding type of praise of approval from the fan base. But Alabama is about winning. Alabama is about setting a standard, leading those results, and more importantly, surpassing it each season. A goal is to finish undefeated. Fans lose their mind when the Crimson Tide lose 2 games during the regular season. It is like apocalypse now on in Tuscaloosa when Alabama drops its second game. You can fall once, it's fine. Everyone has a blip on the radar. But when you lose twice, it's Armageddon. Bear down the hatchets and hide the children. That's the way it feels in Tuscaloosa. Winning means something. A guy like Kalen DeBoer wins. A guy like Kalen DeBoer wins everywhere. He started off at the IAA level down in South Dakota, Sioux Falls. He won multiple national titles there. And then he went to Indiana, and they had a resurgence offensively. You watched as Michael Penix Jr. put together seasons that at least garnered attention in Bloomington for an all-time high. Tom Allen became an overnight sensation, and in large part, that was because of the offense that he was able to implement during the 2019 season. He goes to Fresno State. He replaces a legend out there. The Bulldogs become an immediate threat in the Mountain West. Everyone knows exactly who they are. Everyone loves Jake Hayner. Everyone loves the Bulldogs. Everyone loves the bite, the grit, and the determination. Winner. And then he goes to Seattle. He meets up with Jen Cohen and he says, I want to be the guy who's replacing the other guy. He doesn't go in and immediately take over for Chris Peterson. Jimmy Lake gets the job. Lake leaves in dismay and leaves the program in shambles, and it doesn't feel like it. And an over sensation, Kalen DeBoer brings back Washington in a Pac-12. The conference that features Utah with Kyle Whittingham and Lincoln Riley residing in in Los Angeles, California. Chip Kelly and his innovative offense is now calling shots for the Bruins. You also have Oregon with the moves that they made to bring over Dan Lanning, a physical defense, a pesky offense, and certainly enough enigma to be able to run you out. It is a rigorous conference. And immediately your thought goes to, how is Washington doing this? Everyone wants to turn to what Washington did simply because of Michael Penix Jr. And you would be right. You would 100% be right that you cannot tell the story of Seattle over the last 2 years without Michael Penix Jr. as a major character. Probably your heroes are. That's exactly what you would want. But you also have to tell it alongside Kalen DeBoer, who's been doing this with Penix Jr., who's been doing this without Michael Penix Jr. Oh, and by the way, he was able to convince a ton of players to stick around at Husky Stadium for another season simply selling his message. People bought in. I don't think many people remember that Roma Dunze at one point was considering entering the transfer portal. Instead, he leaves as one of Washington's greatest wide receivers. He leaves as a snub for the Fred Biletnikoff Award, and he leaves a legacy that will never be tarnished and will certainly be hard to duplicate anywhere else. Michael Penix Jr. does the same thing. He takes over. This is a tight end. The defense steps up in critical moments, countless times. And don't think for 1 second that Nick Saban wasn't paying attention to what was going on in the Pacific Northwest. Don't believe me? Before Tommy Rees got the phone call to come on down from South Bend, Indiana, and make his impact alongside Jalen Milroe, the first call was to Ryan Grubb, DeBoer's longtime offensive coordinator. So if you don't see the dots and you don't see the trickle effect of why DeBoer, guys, guy knows how to recruit, guy knows how to sell a program. Washington is a very challenging place to win at. And it took a while for multiple coaches to get it right. Steve Sarkisian had a few years in Seattle before he went down to Los Angeles to replace Lane Kiffin. And many people thought maybe this is where the turnaround was going to come. He stunk his first 2 years. He was abysmal. Offensively, they were anemic. Defensively, they had more holes in it than Swiss cheese. You could throw it on a sandwich and call it a Cuban. Everyone knew that this team wasn't going anywhere. And then Chris Peterson comes in and changes the culture for the better. And then you get Jimmy Lake and watch immediately how it implodes on him. And then DeBoer comes in. And lo and behold, you're right back at the top of the building. It takes a special coach to be able to lead forward. And here's the reason why I think that it's at least DeBoer is going to listen to the offers. And it's not the simple case of, well, it's Alabama. Alabama can sell itself to anybody simply by putting that big script A in the middle of the sentence. That's all you have to do for a place like Alabama. But he's going into a contract year, or not a contract year. He's going into contract negotiations right now with Washington. Very big money is about to come his way. He is about to be a very wealthy man, wherever that may be. With the Huskies, with the Crimson Tide, it somehow, some way, another coach comes on over and he gets the offer from that program. He is about to make a surplus of cash. But when he signed on to be the head coach at Washington, Jen Cohen was the athletic director. Now, former AD of Tulane, Troy Danon, is calling the shots. And Danon and him have a working relationship, but it's not the same as someone calling and saying, I want you. I want you to be the guy. I want you to be someone special. I get what the doubts are. I really do. I understand why many people are probably sitting here right now and saying, why the hell is this loser? Why the hell is this idiot talking about Kalen DeBoer like he is the second coming of sweet Nick Saban? He may be. He may be not. We don't know. What we do know is he's a damn good coach. And what we also know is that he is a coach that's gotten the best results at a place that it costs to win. But what I will say is winning speaks, and winning is the best culture. Everyone's talking about culture, 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 culture. And look at Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly has no experience down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He does not know what boudin is. He doesn't understand what the richness of the Southern Lakes and what the swamps of that bayou is. He doesn't understand it, but he understands how to win because he did a lot at Indiana. I mean, he did a lot at Notre Dame. He did a lot when he was the head coach of the Fighting Irish. He did it when he was at Cincinnati, did it at Grand Valley State, did it everywhere. And winning solves most problems. Once you start winning and you put together a resume that says, here are my accolades of what I've done this, and this. Kids see that. They see NIL, they see the profitness of playing in the SEC, and they say, you know what? That's where I want to be. And they sign up because they know that they're going to win. And they're going to win a lot, and they're going to win often, and they're always going to be in the hunt. Washington should not have been this good this fast. 25-3 in 2 seasons at the helm. Yes, it does help to have a veteran quarterback like Michael Penix Jr., but nobody knew he was going to be healthy. No one knew what to expect from a quarterback that dealt with multiple season-ending injuries, countless lower body extremities, and even a shoulder strain that put him in a sling for several weeks. Nobody knew that that version was going to take over college football. But the reason why he took over college football was not just because of his God-given ability that he was blessed with at birth, but because of the situation he was put in by Kalen DeBoer. And that to me is the selling pitch. It's not about you looking at one team, one roster, one formality and saying, okay, maybe he'll be fine down here. And I get it. He doesn't have experience at Alabama. He doesn't have experience in the SEC. He does not know the lay of the land. Guys such as guys like Steve Sarkisian or Lane Kiffin or Dan Lanning or even Mike Norvell, who has to go up against Billy Napier and now Gus Malzahn and Mario Cristobal down in South Beach. He doesn't have that type of mentality, but he knows how to win, and winning solves everything. You don't think for 1 second he would be able to convince a wide receiver prospect that you really like, "Hey, stick around for another year, watch what I was able to do with Roma Odunze. I can't do it with you." You don't think he'd be able to tell a quarterback, "Look at the year I just had. Look at the last 4 years going back to Jake Haener that I had. You don't think I can do it with you? Look at the way that the offense was predicated on the pass, but you still had a 1,000-yard rusher running up and down Husky Stadium every single Saturday in Dylan Johnson. You don't think a running back like Justice Haynes sees that and goes, he's going to put me in a great spot to where all I have to do is hit the open field and watch it fly?" All of that can absolutely happen with a guy like Kalen DeBoer. An Alabama fan should be excited if he is the coach. There are not a lot of names that should invoke fear, but also optimism with a guy who takes over for Nick Saban. And a lot of people out there are probably saying to themselves, "Oh, he'll be the guy before the actual guy. He'll be the guy before the guy that we actually hire." And I never thought that we'd come to this date as long as I was covering college football, but here we are and the moment's arisen. To me, if you get the guy, it doesn't matter when you get him. It doesn't matter how you get him. It simply matters, you know what? He's here. And you know what the best thing is? If Nick Saban ended up being a guy just out of willy-nilly, just some random podunk dude that they hired in place of everything that we knew of the past, and he still has these results, your opinion would drastically, I think, change on terms of what Saban is. You wouldn't know him as one of the greatest of all time before he ever touched down in Tuscaloosa. You would say Alabama made him great. Alabama made him who he is today. And maybe that's the way you have to look at Kalen DeBoer, who's already proven, I can win a D3, I can win a D2, I can win sleet, snow, rain, harsh winds, sunny side, any type of weather delay at any level, at any conference. Watch me work and see what I do. Maybe that's the way that you have to start thinking. I'm not saying DeBoer is going to be the hire. He may. He may end up turning down a place like Alabama, just like Dan Lanning, just like Mike Norvell, just like a ton of other coaches who potentially are on the radar that feel content where they are. Or it could be the best thing that's happened to Tuscaloosa since Nick Saban signed on in 2007. You have no idea what it could be. But here's what I do know. Anybody out there saying that Kalen DeBoer is not a qualified candidate, I simply say you have no idea what you're talking about. Anybody that says Kalen DeBoer is not the right hire, I simply have no idea what you're talking about. And anybody who says Kalen DeBoer isn't worthy of coaching on the sidelines of Tuscaloosa, I hate to say this, you have no idea what you're talking about. I have watched every single one of his games the last few years. and Washington was built because of him. It helps to have a quarterback, but it always starts with the man up top. The presence, persona, the qualifications, the enigma, the stature of what Washington has been is because of Kalen DeBoer. And if he brings that on to Tuscaloosa, I'm not talking about a national championship maybe in 2024, but you will win titles. You will win conferences, and you will be still at the precipice of college football. Kalen DeBoer's getting started. Wouldn't you want that in the Hall of Champions? Wouldn't you want that? The Spanish screaming, Dixieland delight. Wouldn't you want that? As you hope to see Alabama stay on top of the world? I know I would. Maybe just some food for thought.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.